It started with a god and balloon arch and a tray of Costco cupcakes that said teamwork makes the dream work. I stood there, holding a lukewarm cup of decaf, watching Kim, the wicked queen of fake enthusiasm, clap like a malfunctioning seal while announcing another mandatory Fun Friday. I knew then, deep in my congested sinuses and clenched jaw, that this place would kill me if I let it. 6 years. 6 years of missed lunches, skipped vacations, nodding through meetings where men who couldn't spell compliance lectured me on policy. 6 years of babysitting supply chain VPs who thought ethical conduct was just something you wrote on a PowerPoint slide. And the only thing I got in return? A windowless cubicle, a back that cracked like bubble wrap, and Kim's voice echoing in my nightmares like some corporate banshee. You want to know what burnout smells like? It's the scent of overcooked broccoli from the break room microwave mixed with the citrus desperation of discount hand sanitizer. It's walking into work at 7:59 a.m. because if you clock in at 8:01, Kim marks you as questionable. It's turning on your work phone at midnight to catch just one more request from a logistics exec in Ohio who thinks ethics reports write themselves. I wasn't always like this. Used to be that annoying go-getter who color-coded her inbox and volunteered to lead culture initiatives. But little by little, Kim chipped away at that version of me. With every passive-aggressive email, every surprise deadline, every maybe if you were more resilient like Jessica, who quit after crying in the copy room and now teaches yoga to dogs in Santa Fe. Anyway, if you've made it this far and haven't rage quit your earbuds yet, maybe give us a follow and drop a like. No pressure, but 97% of folks just listen and vanish like ghost contractors on a payroll audit, and it really does help keep the team caffeinated and emotionally stable. Thanks, truly. Back to hell. I started noticing the signs when we lost 3 people in 1 quarter, just gone, like office furniture during a move. HR kept calling it natural attrition. The natural part stopped making sense after Melissa, who was 5 months pregnant, got put on a PIP for low keyboard energy. Kim held weekly bonding meetings where she forced us to write one nice thing about the person to our left. I got stuck next to Kyle, who once sneezed into my coffee and called it a shared experience. But I stayed, because I was raised to believe that loyalty mattered, that showing up, especially when it was hard, meant something. Because part of me thought, if I just try harder, then came the whispers, that Kim was doing something funny with hours, that temp workers were being billed even when they were off project. I filed a soft concern with HR. They thanked me and handed out stress balls shaped like brains the next day, like squishy amnesty for the truth. I buried the doubt, like I always did, because I still had my perfect attendance streak, my clean record, my sad little hope that maybe this was just the way things were in the adult world. Until one sick day shattered the illusion like a cheap glass award. And Kim, bless her petty little heart, would live to regret that balloon arch. The fever hit like a truck, full of expired NyQuil. One minute I was dreaming about accidentally deleting the payroll system. The next I was sitting upright in bed, drenched in sweat, throat shredded like over-microwaved beef jerky. I tried to stand, but my knees wobbled like a newborn deer on black ice. Bronchitis, the urgent care doc said, handing me a note that looked more like a permission slip to hell. I stared at that sick note like it was a lottery ticket I was too scared to cash. I hadn't called off in over a year, not when I had food poisoning so bad I puked in my purse during a Zoom, not when I threw my back out shoveling my own damn driveway because the plow guy ghosted me for emotional reasons. But this time, my lungs rattled like maracas, and even I, queen of showing up, had to wave the white flag. So I called, like a responsible adult, like someone still clinging to the delusion that professionalism earns you mercy. Kim answered on speaker, always speaker. She liked making examples out of people in surround sound. Hey, Kim, I rasped. I'm really sick, fever, cough, full respiratory mess. I've got a doctor's note, and she cut me off, voice shrill and echoing through what I imagined was her open-plan kingdom of fear. Oh my God, Dana, are you serious right now? Yeah, just one sick day. I'll work from home tomorrow if Jesus, just quit if you're so fragile. Everyone else here can handle pressure without falling apart. I went silent. The line stayed hot. In the background, heard someone awkwardly rustle a snack bag. Probably Kyle. Dana, Kim snapped. Are you going to just breathe into the phone or make a decision? I hung up, not politely, not slowly. I thumb-slammed that red button like it owed me rent. That should have been the end of it. Another day, another emotional paper cut. But then, like divine intervention, or just my flu-fogged brain screwing up, I realized I'd CC'd myself when I sent the sick note to HR. It was a reflex. I like to keep a copy of everything, a compliance thing, and guess what? Our company's internal VO IP log speaker calls to the voicemail system if the recipient doesn't pick up immediately. Kim had called me twice. The first one went to voicemail. Her rant was in my inbox by noon, complete with her voice screeching "just quit," like a banshee in heels. I replayed it twice. Not for revenge. Just to confirm I wasn't hallucinating. The shame, that burned hotter than the fever. Not because I was weak, but because somewhere deep inside me I still expected decency. A scrap of dignity. Even from someone who'd once sent back a bereavement request because grieving isn't a protected category. I laid back down in bed, the room spinning, lungs wheezing, and stared at the ceiling like it might offer answers. Instead, it whispered, "She wants you gone. Give her what she asked for, but on your terms." 2 days later, I walked through those automatic glass doors like a ghost with unfinished business. Fever gone, voice steadier, but something inside me had calcified. There's a difference between being overworked and being done. I wasn't tired anymore, I was surgical. I nodded at the front desk girl, who gave me the same pitiful look people reserve for strays in thunderstorms. Kim wasn't at her desk, probably off performing her morning ritual, loudly criticizing someone near the break room for not projecting competence. No problem. I didn't come in for confrontation. I came in to disappear clean. My cubicle greeted me like a crime scene. Half-used tissues, a mug that said "ask me about my deadlines," and a stack of untouched compliance files waiting to be ignored. I sat down, booted up my computer, and started drafting my resignation email. Subject line, "Formal notice of resignation." Just the sight of those words made my pulse settle. But then I paused. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. The satisfaction felt too simple, like tying your shoes after a marathon. This couldn't be it, not after everything. Kim's voice echoed in my skull, "Just quit. Fragile, replaceable." Those were her words, said with the confidence of someone who didn't believe consequences applied to her. And that's when it clicked. People like Kim don't spit venom unless they're hiding something behind their teeth. Her outburst wasn't just cruelty, it was projection. She'd been acting twitchy for months, leaving late, locking her screen every time someone walked by. Once, I'd caught a glimpse of her inbox. She was sending timesheets to herself, for temps, in a department that hadn't had temps in over a year. I closed the resignation draft. Instead, I opened the payroll backend. Now, it wasn't technically unauthorized. I had senior clearance to assist HR with quarterly audits. But what I was doing now, let's just say it was the first time in my life I hoped someone was watching me. I dug into the digital timesheet archive, narrowing my search to anything tagged temporary or contractor. Most folders were labeled by department or vendor. But then I saw one, tucked like a roach behind the fridge. Q4 temp timesheets, Kim only. That's not a naming convention. That's a confession. I opened it. 23 timesheets. All approved, all billed to vendor accounts I'd never heard of. The names were generic enough to pass a glance: Rick Harmon, Denise K. But the work summaries were hilariously vague. Logistical documentation support. Process integrity review. I've written those job descriptions, and even I didn't know what they meant. Each PDF had a digital signature field. On the bottom right, buried in metadata, was Kim's user ID. Some of them time-stamped on Sundays. Others approved within seconds of being created. That doesn't happen unless you're the one making them. I selected the entire folder and quietly downloaded a zip file to a password-protected USB I kept in my purse. I didn't even flinch. As I unplugged the drive, I felt light, like I'd just exhaled for the first time in years. The resignation could wait a little longer. Because now, it wasn't quitting. I was extracting myself from a crime scene. That night, I sat on my apartment floor in sweatpants, surrounded by stale takeout and open tabs like some kind of corporate detective noir. The zip file throbbed on my desktop like a loaded weapon. I opened each timesheet one by one, like flipping through pages of a really boring, really incriminating diary. Names on the documents looked like they'd been generated by a lazy AI. Craig W. Jessica M. Anthony from Vendor Group B. No last names on a few, no employee IDs. One entry literally listed the role as support liaison. Support of what, Kim? Your sense of entitlement? I took the bait. I opened LinkedIn and started searching. Craig W. had a profile, no profile picture, no work history, no endorsements, just a generic banner and a job title that mirrored the timesheet Logistics Workflow Coordinator. The only post on his feed was a share of an article titled 7 Ways to Manage Up Without Getting Fired. The dude had fewer digital footprints than a deleted Reddit troll. Jessica M. had no profile at all. Anthony did, but it was clearly fake, stock photo headshot, work history that included Amazon spelled Amazon, and an alma mater that didn't exist. I wasn't looking at contractors. I was looking at phantoms, ghosts, and Kim, she was the one conjuring them. Every single document had her signature, not a pen scribble digital signature embedded in the file's metadata. I pulled the audit log from one of our internal tools just to be sure. Timestamp, user ID, IP address, it was her. Creating, signing, approving. A one-woman payroll carousel spinning out dirty money. I sat back and stared at my screen. My heart jackhammered behind my ribs, not from fear, but from this awful, electric clarity. I hadn't just found something shady, I'd found felony-grade fraud. And now I had to decide. Do I walk away with my middle finger held high, or do I detonate the thing on my way out? I chose both. The next morning, I walked into HR with a to-go coffee I didn't drink and a smile I didn't feel. I'd booked the meeting under the guise of a standard offboarding, called it an exit clarity session. Buzzwords help HR people sleep at night. Brenda from HR greeted me like she was hosting a baby shower. "We're so sad to see you go, Dana." "Yeah," I said, eyes steady. "It's been clarifying." I kept the act tight, nodded at all the right places, pretended to listen when they offered me a feedback form and a pamphlet about mental health. I even chuckled when Brenda tried to casually slide in an NDA as just a formality. Inside, I was a damn wire, taut, ready to snap or spark. I told her I'd email my final notice later that evening, said I needed time to process the emotional goodbye. Brenda nodded, mistaking my ice for grief. I left the meeting walking that thin line between adrenaline and paranoia. Every step out of that HR office felt like walking across a minefield in ballet flats. What if IT had flagged my access? What if Kim knew I'd opened her folder? What if Brenda wasn't clueless? I got to my car, shut the door, and exhaled like I was releasing 6 years of swallowed corporate bile. Because now, the game had changed. I wasn't just leaving a job. I was about to walk out carrying the one thing Kim couldn't fake, the truth. The NDA was 12 pages long and smelled like lavender toner and legal manipulation. HR had emailed it over less than an hour after my exit interview with the subject line. Just a few standard closing items, nothing alarming. Nothing alarming, except the fact that the word confidential showed up 29 times, and legal recourse was hiding like a snake in the margins. It read like a lullaby for liars. Don't speak. Don't ask. Don't remember. I opened the doc and skimmed while chewing on a stale granola bar, already knowing I'd sign none of it. But I downloaded it anyway. If they wanted a performance, I'd give them one. I replied to Brenda with a cheery, "Thanks so much. Reviewing now, appreciate all your help," and added a little smiley face. Let them think I was just another docile casualty limping out of the building. In truth, I was already several steps ahead. That afternoon, I met Maya, my old college roommate turned junior prosecutor, at a quiet little coffee shop tucked behind the courthouse. She'd always had that righteous energy, even back in school. Used to carry around a pocket constitution like it was a damn diary. She walked in with a file folder and an espresso the color of vengeance. I slid the USB across the table like we were trading state secrets. "Tell me I'm not crazy." She plugged it into her laptop and began scrolling. After 10 minutes of silence, she sat back slowly. "This isn't just shady," she said. "It's payroll fraud, straight up. Ghost employees, forged approval trails. If your metadata checks out, and it will, they're looking at serious charges." I stared down into my lukewarm coffee. My hands were steady, but something behind my ribs started shaking. How serious? Depending on how much was siphoned, up to 5 years. Minimum. More if it's across state lines or involves falsified tax documents. Said she submitted these to payroll. I nodded. Maya whistled, low and impressed. Then someone's about to learn what embezzlement really means. We didn't hug goodbye, just a nod. A pact. I left the cafe feeling both weightless and wired, like I'd swallowed lightning and washed it down with justice. Back at work, my last official day, supposedly, I found a sticky note on my monitor, written in the cramped, all caps handwriting of my only real ally in that office. Allison, check your drive. Kim's been clicking through your old folders. I stared at the note until the letters blurred. Kim, she knew I wasn't just walking out quietly. She'd been in my digital closet, digging through my files, probably looking for signs I'd found hers. My heartbeat turned into a drum solo. I checked the logs. Sure enough, 2 access entries from Kim's credentials on folders I hadn't touched in weeks. She was sniffing around, maybe hoping to preemptively erase something. Too late, the good stuff was off-network, and I had backups. But the message was clear. This wasn't a clean exit, this was war, so I got surgical. I picked one forged timesheet, the one with the cleanest paper trail, a signature that matched her style from a training doc we kept archived, and a ghost employee whose name she'd recycled twice. I printed it, high-res, color, crisp as betrayal. I slid it into an envelope along with my formal resignation letter, folded with precision and intent. On the envelope, to HR, legal, and whom it may legally concern. I'd CC the DA and Maya separately, quietly, legally, by the book, but sharp enough to cut, because now I knew I had exactly one shot, one document, one truth, and the next time Kim tried to erase me, she'd be doing it from the inside of a holding cell. It happened at exactly 1:13 p.m. The number burned into my memory like a bad tattoo. One minute, I was uploading a few final files to the compliance archive like a good little corporate ghost. The next, Outlook kicked me out mid-send. The screen froze, then blinked to black. A dull little pop-up in the corner chirped, access denied. Contact system administrator, cute. I tried logging into our internal site. Same message. I swiped my badge to re-enter the stairwell after refilling my water bottle, red light. Tried again. Still red. A slow, crawling realization crept up my spine. They knew, not the whole thing, not yet. But someone, probably Kim, had pulled a few strings and decided to fast-track my erasure. The IT version of throwing your ex's clothes on the lawn in the rain. Hey Dana, came a voice behind me. Greg from facilities. Nice guy. Played bass in a Journey cover band. Today, however, he looked like someone had asked him to euthanize a golden retriever. Got a ticket from upstairs? I'm supposed to escort you out. The hallway suddenly felt like a spotlight. 2 interns whispered near the copier. My old manager from logistics peeked around the corner like he was rubbernecking a freeway crash. The walk to the elevator was the longest 50 seconds of my professional life. But here's the twist. I smiled, not wide, not manic, just enough. Like the Mona Lisa if she'd just mailed your secrets to the IRS, because they were too late. The printout, already sealed in the envelope. The resignation letter, dated, signed, and dropped in the legal department's internal mail slot hours earlier when I went to return my keycard. What they thought was a clean sweep was actually a sloppy epilogue. I didn't need a dramatic send-off, no box of belongings, no speech in the break room about valuing every moment. I didn't even look back at my cubicle as Greg walked me to the lobby. Kim wasn't there? Of course she wasn't. Queens don't attend beheadings. The receptionist blinked as I walked past her, badge useless in my hand. She tilted her head, probably waiting for me to cry or beg or curse the injustice. Instead, I handed her the badge and said, "Don't let Kim redecorate my cubicle." I left something in the walls. It was a joke, kind of. But her face went pale enough to make me wonder if she thought I meant literally. Glass doors closed behind me with a hiss, like the building itself was exhaling relief. I stepped into the July heat and let the sun scald my face. My phone buzzed. Maya, got it. Opening now. You sure you're ready? I typed one word back. Oh, absolutely. Because here's the thing about public humiliation. It only works if you don't already know how the story ends. And I'd just mailed in the final chapter, signed, sealed, and dipped in gasoline. 9:06 a.m. the next morning, the email had landed in the right inboxes like a hand grenade wrapped in HR-acceptable formatting. Subject line, formal notice of resignation plus documentation for review. Body text, polite, professional, sharp enough to draw blood. I thanked them for the opportunity, expressed concern about recent discrepancies, and attached a PDF labeled Sample Vendor Timesheet Internal Use Only. 1 page. 1 signature. 1 digital fingerprint stamped by Kim herself. CC'd to Brenda in HR. CC'd to the internal legal department. BCC'd to Meyer at the DA's office. No flair, no grand accusations, just the facts like a scalpel slid across the belly of the beast. And then I waited. First came the silence. That thick, eerie kind that settles over an office when something sacred's been cracked. No calls, No replies. Just a notification that my company email had been marked inactive. Not a problem, I still had copies. And Maya, she had teeth. By day 3, the tremors began. Allison texted me with a screenshot, an internal bulletin saying all timesheet approvals were temporarily paused pending procedural review. Legal speak for oh shit. Then came the whispers. Quiet Slack messages from former coworkers. Hey, did you hear Kim's not in today? Payroll froze vendor payments. Someone said IT is doing audits on account access logs. Every breadcrumb led back to the thing I dropped on their doorstep like a flaming paper bag. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. But Kim, she broke the silence herself. Voicemail, blocked number. I only listened once. Dana, it's Kim. I don't know what the hell you think you're doing, but you're not helping anyone. This could ruin careers, you understand that. I've been nothing but God, just call me back. Can fix this? It doesn't have to go any further. She sounded like a panicked sorority mom trying to cover up a hit-and-run. Desperation clung to her words like perfume in a church pew. I replayed it, then archived it, because the best part wasn't her voice cracking. It was what I saw that same afternoon. HR had updated the vendor contracts page on their internal site, quietly, without fanfare. But the timestamp was fresh. The PDF list of approved vendors had gone from a bloated 57 names to 9. And guess what name was missing? D&M Logistics Staffing Solutions. The shell Kim had used for her fake temps. Gone, deleted like a typo. You don't gut your vendor list overnight unless your house is on fire. And I was the one holding the match. I sipped my tea by the window, let the sun paint patterns on the floor, and didn't say a damn word, because I knew what came next. Storm was just starting to break. And Kim, she was about to find out what silence sounds like when it's weaponized. It started with an audit. That's how Maya phrased it in the text she sent me late one Tuesday night. Audit confirmed, $187,000 in ghost contractor payouts. You were right. Not good job, not we got her, not this is huge, just the truth, stripped clean of celebration. Because when the numbers hit 6 figures, no one's cheering. It stops being gossip and starts being government. The firm brought in external investigators, neutral third party, beige suit types with clipboards and zero patience. They didn't knock on doors. They walked through them. They pulled transaction logs, approval workflows, vendor vetting records. Maya told me they had to escalate to forensic accounting by day 2. Kim went on leave before the week was out. HR's email about it was clinical as a surgical mask. Effective immediately, Kimberly H. will be on administrative leave pending an internal review. No farewell bagels. No signatures on a goodbye card. One day she was there, barking over Zoom. The next, she was a digital absence, her name quietly disappearing from the org chart like someone hitting backspace on a crime scene. And it wasn't just her. 2 other managers, people who used to high-five Kim in meetings and roll their eyes when ethics training came up, were suddenly reassigned. One was in charge of vendor invoicing. The other had full access to payroll approval queues. Turns out, when you start pulling threads, the whole damn tapestry starts to rot in reverse. Allison kept feeding me updates through encrypted signal messages, each one shorter and shakier than the last. Accounting froze, 6 months of contractor payments. IT revoked access for half the senior ops team. Brenda hasn't shown her face since Tuesday. It was happening, not in a movie montage way, not dramatic or fast, but like molasses leaking from a cracked barrel, slow, unstoppable, and sticky with accountability. For the first time in 6 years, I slept with both eyes shut. Then, after 10 days of silence, I logged into LinkedIn. I didn't name names. I didn't subtweet. I didn't gloat, just typed. Sometimes the sickest thing is staying silent. No hashtags, no emojis, just that. It got 17 likes in an hour, 3 DMs, 1 recruiter message asking if I'd be open to a compliance role at a fintech startup. I ignored them all, because I wasn't interested in bouncing into the next corporate disaster. I was interested in feeling what peace actually sounds like. It's quiet. It's sitting by the window without checking your phone every 5 minutes. It's not plotting your next move because, for the first time, you're not being moved like a pawn. And it's realizing you never needed to yell to be heard. You just had to whisper the right thing to the right people at exactly the wrong time. The reckoning wasn't loud, but it was precise. And it wasn't over yet. They cuffed her in the parking garage. Kim, queen of compliance evasion, dethroned beside a dented Honda Civic with a girl boss bumper sticker, and a 3-ring binder clutched to her chest like it might save her. The mugshot hit the local station by noon, slightly smeared mascara, eyes full of corporate disbelief. Like she still couldn't fathom that she was the one being escorted out now. Not with a smirk and an NDA, but with Miranda rights and a DA who didn't give a damn about her Q4 bonuses. Payroll manager accused of ghost employee scheme tip triggered by whistleblower resignation. That was the headline, Channel 4, bottom corner. I watched it on mute while steeping jasmine tea. They showed stock footage of the office building, a blurred face walking past HR, and the anchor tried not to grin as he read the copy. It was tasteful, clinical, just like she used to pretend to be. No one said my name. No one had to. My resignation letter was evidence item #3. The forged timesheet was item #1. Maya texted me 2 words that morning. She folded. The charges were precise and devastating: fraud, falsifying financial records, abuse of managerial power. The DA's office had built the case brick by brick off metadata, approval logs, and Kim's own greedy fingerprints. She'd signed everything. She thought she was covering her tracks, but the problem with digital crimes: they don't fade, they log. I didn't go to court. I didn't give interviews. There were no press conferences, no dramatic stares into the camera. My part was done. I sipped my tea, warm, bitter, exactly right. Outside, kids biked past my building, shrieking like freedom personified. Somewhere downtown, Kim was probably blinking under fluorescent lights, trying to explain to a public defender what falsified labor codes meant. I didn't smile, but I did exhale. Long, slow, clean. 6 years of swallowed pride, of buried warnings, of grinding my teeth through meetings where she stole credit and issued threats with the subtlety of a guillotine, gone. Not vindicated by applause. Just ended. And that forged timesheet, the one she built to steal just a little more, it did exactly what she made it for. Only this time it didn't pay her. It cut her out. Permanently. Thanks for joining the fun, you office survivors. Subscribe for more switch-flicking drama. Let's make your former coworkers sweat.